Okay, so Ripple's been dropping some massive updates lately, and there's some pretty wild XRP news that honestly, if you're holding XRP, you need to hear about this stuff. So the big announcement that just came out, Ripple's now a founding member of something called TRM Labs Beacon Network. And get this, it's the very first real-time crypto crime response network ever created. Basically, they're teaming up with the industry and law enforcement to actually stop dirty money before it even leaves the blockchain. There's a video about it too, but I can't play it because of the music, you know how copyright gets. But here's what's wild about this whole thing. They're calling it the first real-time crypto crime response network where exchanges, issuers, and law enforcement can literally trace funds instantly, like before the bad guys even cash out. And when you check out their homepage for Beacon Network, dude, the amount of major players involved is insane. We're talking big exchanges, major crypto companies, all the heavy hitters are in on this thing. Here's the thing, they've got this whole system, flag, trace, alert, action. It's basically like having a security guard for the entire crypto space, which honestly, we desperately need. I mean, think about it. How much crazy stuff happens in crypto? People are constantly getting their wallets completely drained, and then that stolen money just flows right into exchanges where the thieves cash out. It's happening left and right. And don't even get me started on DeFi. That place is like the Wild West for crypto crime. So many people have watched their wallets get emptied, and then boom, the money gets thrown into a DEX. From there, it goes through this massive loophole where criminals can basically swap through all these different tokens, making it nearly impossible to trace. And you know what happens next? Your money's gone, and there's literally nothing you can do about it. But here's where it gets interesting. TRM and this Beacon Network are actually trying to fix this whole mess. And Ripple jumping in as a founding member, that's huge. What really gets me excited, though, is when you start thinking about all the partners they've got in this ecosystem. So check this out. Canton is actually one of the major players connected to TRM. There's this partnership where TRM Labs is working with Canton Network to beef up risk management on privacy-enabled networks. And guys, Canton Network is absolutely massive in the private crypto world. Here's the wild part. They're running a public blockchain, but you literally can't buy any tokens from them. It's not something retail investors can just jump into. But the money flowing through there, it's astronomical. And the companies backing them? It's like a who's who of global banking. We're talking Bank of America, Bank of China, Barclays, BNP Paribas, Citi. I mean, the list just keeps going. These are some of the biggest financial institutions on the planet, and they're all tied into this network. And that's just scratching the surface. That's only the dApp users. We haven't even gotten into all the dApps they're running. The governance structure, the infrastructure behind it all. The scope of this thing is just mind-blowing when you really start digging into it. But get this, we're talking about $3.5 trillion in loans. Top 10 banks globally. $4 trillion per month just in repos alone. Over 350 validators and 30 super validators on top of that. And all of this is connected back to TRM Labs, where Ripple just became a founding partner of the Beacon Network. What's even crazier is how fast TRM is expanding. I'm pretty sure they were working with Hedera too at some point, and I think they're still connected there as well. But honestly, this feels like a massive game changer for the entire industry. We're going to have to keep our eyes peeled to see how this all plays out, but these kinds of security infrastructure pieces are absolutely critical for crypto's future and for Web3 as a whole. Having Ripple as a founding member is seriously exciting, especially when you look at all the heavyweight names already tied to TRM Labs. I mean, you just know that most of these major players are going to end up tapping into the Beacon Network at some point. This could be the kind of move that really legitimizes crypto security on a whole new level. But wait, there's more. We just got some huge XRP news too. So Gemini, the exchange run by the Winklevoss twins, just dropped a major hint about something big coming for XRP. And here's what's absolutely wild about this. These guys have been trash-talking XRP for literally years. Like, they've been some of the biggest XRP haters out there. But now, everything's completely flipped. And honestly, I find that super interesting. So here's what happened. Gemini posted this cryptic message on X where they said, "The next era of rewards is preparing to launch." And get this, when you look at the capitalized letters, they spell out XRP. People are going crazy thinking Gemini's about to drop some major XRP initiative. And the timing is perfect because they just wrapped up this XRP giveaway where they handed out 305 XRP worth about $1,000 to some lucky follower who followed their account and liked their post back on August 7th. What's crazy is this all lined up with XRP bouncing back to around $3.36 after it briefly dropped to $2.90. That whole rally happened right after Ripple finally wrapped up their lawsuit with the SEC. And even when Gemini announced the giveaway winner, they were already hinting that something big was coming down the pipeline. So the latest teaser seems to hint that Gemini might be cooking up something new for XRP in the coming weeks. They've been really pushing XRP ever since they added it back in August 2023, and honestly, they've been pretty creative about it. Remember that XRP cashback credit card? You could actually earn 2% back in XRP just buying groceries and stuff. They even did this cool limited time thing in August 2023 where they gave away 4,000 XRP every single day. Verified users could snag 20 XRP each. It's all part of their game plan to get people more excited about XRP on their platform. And yeah, they were definitely fashionably late to the XRP party, only jumped on board in August 2023 after that judge basically said XRP isn't a security in the SEC case. But here's the thing, Gemini isn't the only one going all in on XRP campaigns. Just this past June, Uphold dropped $100,000 worth of Zbeck network tokens on big XRP holders. Before that, they were running these monthly sweepstakes where you could win up to 50,000 XRP. So with Gemini dropping these hints about their next rewards program, the XRP crowd is buzzing, wondering if this new campaign might actually top what they've done before. And honestly, people are getting pretty hyped about whatever Gemini's planning next. You can tell from the reactions that folks are getting a bit restless with all the teasing. Quantum Ultra Runner basically said what everyone's thinking. Either spill the beans already or quit with the cryptic posts. But then you've got people like Tim XRP who are totally here for it, talking about how much they've scored from Gemini's previous XRP campaigns. Look, I get it. I'd love for them to just rip the Band-Aid off and tell us what they're actually planning with XRP. We've all seen this playbook before, right? These exchanges love to drop mysterious posts and build up all this suspense. It's all about getting the community worked up so people flock to their platform, start trading, hit that follow button, or just grow their whole audience. Classic marketing move, but man, the anticipation is real. With Gemini, though, I'm not even sure they need all this hype building. I mean, they've got 585,000 followers and they're already considered one of the big players in the exchange game. So what's the deal here? Maybe it's just going to be staking rewards for XRP, but honestly, how would that even work? Unless they're planning to launch some kind of DeFi liquidity pool or something wild like that. But your guess is as good as mine at this point. But here's where it gets really interesting. We actually got some major news from Gemini that might explain what's going on. Check this out. Gemini draws on Ripple funding deal as exchange prepares for IPO. And when you dig into it, it's absolutely wild. Ripple is basically giving them a loan. But get this, it's paid out in Bitcoin. The whole thing is 1,275 Bitcoin at a 4.3% interest rate. Like, who does that? What's blowing my mind is the timing here. This funding news drops just 2 days before they start teasing this new XRP thing. So now they're gearing up to go public, they're getting funding deals with Ripple, and they're hyping up XRP initiatives. It's like all these puzzle pieces are connecting in some crazy way that I can't quite figure out yet. And speaking of IPOs, huge props to Bullish for pulling off their public listing. What makes this absolutely groundbreaking is that they actually settled part of their IPO proceeds in RLUSD, which is minted right on the XRP ledger. We're literally watching history here. This is the first time a public company has brought their settlement process on-chain. Talk about setting the bar for how stablecoins could totally reshape future IPOs. So here's what went down. Bullish managed to get $1.15 billion of their IPO proceeds in stablecoins. That's not pocket change, and it's a massive milestone for stablecoin adoption in U.S. public offerings. And we're not talking about some tiny startup either. Bullish has over 100,000 followers and serious street cred in this space. When you step back and look at all these moves happening in the stablecoin world, especially with RLUSD getting this kind of spotlight, it's pretty incredible to watch unfold. Even Jack McDonald from Ripple, he's their SVP of stablecoins, had some thoughts on this whole situation. RLUSD on the XRP ledger is just getting more and more woven into real-world finance. We're seeing it used for collateral cross-border payments and now, for the first time ever, actual IPO settlement. And here's the kicker. Even before any major crypto legislation passed, RLUSD was already being called the gold standard for compliance by both crypto folks and traditional finance people. But listen to what Jack McDonald says next. And now the floodgates are opening. Watch this space. This is coming straight from a Ripple employee. When someone on the inside is telling you the floodgates are opening, you pay attention. It's because we're watching crypto and traditional finance slam together at breakneck speed. I'm honestly pumped about where this is headed, and when you look at the numbers, RLUSD is already making serious waves on the XRP ledger with about 85.9 million issued. Compare that to USDC, which only has around 1.2 million on there. But that's just the beginning. There are tons more stablecoins rolling out on XRP ledger. Take URP, for example, which is still tiny at about $48,000. But that's how these things start. The way things are moving, I'd bet we're going to see way more stablecoins and way more value flowing onto the XRP ledger in the next few months. This is absolutely massive for both RLUSD and the entire XRP ledger ecosystem, and Jack McDonald's basically confirming what we're all seeing unfold. The numbers behind RLUSD are getting pretty wild too. We're looking at almost 670 million in total supply now. And check this out, 3.51 billion monthly active addresses, over 4,600 holders, and get this, RLUSD's value jumped 25% just in the last 30 days. It's been climbing steadily for weeks now. This momentum is real. What gets me excited is thinking about the bigger picture here. We're watching stablecoins become a legitimate part of how major companies go public. Like, stop and think about what that means for the future. This could completely change how IPOs work going forward. And the fact that this is all happening on the XRP ledger, that's huge. I honestly don't think people are grasping just how massive this stablecoin wave is going to be. We're talking about trillions of dollars eventually flowing through these systems. Look, I know we keep hammering this point, and maybe it sounds like we're just hyping things up, but here's the thing. We're not just throwing around theories anymore. This stuff is actually happening right in front of us, and it's moving incredibly fast. The speculation phase is over. This is real money, real companies, and real adoption happening in real time. I mean, think about it. Just a few months back, if someone told you we'd have almost $1 billion locked up in RLUSD, you probably would have laughed. And an IPO getting settled with stablecoin proceeds, that was pure sci-fi territory back then. That's just how insanely fast this whole space is moving right now, and it's not just us crypto people getting excited anymore. Even the SEC and basically everyone in Washington is starting to wake up to what stablecoins can actually do. They're finally seeing the potential and want to get behind it instead of fighting it. Here's what's really wild, though. The entire financial world, and honestly even industries way outside of finance, are starting to get that stablecoins are about to be absolutely fundamental to how money moves around the globe. Like, we're talking about a complete shift in the global financial system. And whether people want to admit it or not, Ripple is basically laying down the tracks for all of this. I get that some folks have mixed feelings about Ripple, but you can't argue with what they're actually accomplishing. They're literally building the highway that everyone else is going to drive on for mass adoption. Plus, when you factor in partnerships with companies like TRM Labs, it's all these pieces working together that are making this whole thing possible. Because, look, crypto crime is real, okay? Yeah, we always say it's way smaller than what happens in regular banking, and it is, but we still got to deal with it. The good thing is we totally can fix this stuff. And that's why what Ripple's doing here is so smart. They're not just building cool tech, they're making sure this whole space actually works properly. They want crypto to win big, but they want to do it the right way. All right, guys, that's what I got for you today. If you found this useful, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. All this stuff is free, so might as well stay updated, right? Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. I am going to explain to you today why 99.9% of the people on the planet do not possess any XRP at all, and I will also explain why this is a very huge thing, a lot greater deal than I believe the majority of you who are watching this video right now are aware of. That the majority of individuals who watch my podcast have some XRP is not something that should come as a surprise. Considering that this is an XRP channel then, it is highly likely that by the time this movie is over, you will feel like a pretty remarkable person because of some of the statistics that we are going to discuss. To begin, I would like to discuss the percentage of people throughout the world that genuinely possess either no XRP at all, not even 1,000 XRP, not even 2,500 XRP, or not even more than that. No, any XRP, as well as 1 XRP and 2 XRP. At this moment, we are able to observe that there are around 4.82 million wallets that contain at least 1 XRP. Alright, regards for the information. What we can tell from these wallets is that a significant number of people have more than one. There are a great number of distinct kinds of switch wallets available nowadays. Alright, you can find a large number of persons on exchanges. Additionally, we can observe that certain posts on X dated September stated that only 0.06% of people around the world are in possession of XRP money. While it is difficult to determine for certain, the quantity of wallets provides us with a very clear picture of the situation. According to Grox, a reasonable assumption that can be made based on the statistics is that no more than 0.1% of the total population of the globe possesses any XRP. Even if you were to chat to 100 random people, the great majority of them would not have any XRP in their possession. This is the case even if you happen to be at an XRP meetup or something similar. My next topic of discussion is going to be Bitcoin. As the most widely used cryptocurrency, Bitcoin must be held by a significant number of individuals. Therefore, Bitcoin seems to provide us with a sense of how large and how quickly XRP could expand. Bitcoin has most certainly gone from having a single owner to having many millions of owners, and at one PO. Considering where XRP currently stands in the market, there is a significant likelihood that it will be able to accomplish something comparable at some point in the future. After reviewing all of the information that is currently available regarding Bitcoin, it appears that somewhere between 1% and 1 1/3 of the total population of the world owns some Bitcoin. It is easily more than 100 times the number of people who have XRP, which is a significant amount more than 1 XRP. A study into Ethereum and Solana reveals that both of these cryptocurrencies have a great deal of space for development, and we have already witnessed how rapidly prices shift once the acceptance curve begins to move in a certain direction. The Pew Research Center conducted a survey in 2024 and found that 17% of people in the United States have either purchased, sold, or utilized a cryptocurrency. Right here is where it is. In the year 2024, that constitutes 17% of the American population. Despite the fact that this number has obviously increased quite a little, particularly in light of the recent events that have taken place in this year, I would be amazed if it was more than 25% of Americans, and this is the investing capital of the world. Alright, the United States of America will be in a position of unrivaled superiority over every other nation. At this point, it is possible that we will observe figures that are comparable to or very close to those that are found in more industrialized nations such as Europe, Canada, and Australia. But chances are they won't be as high since, let's face it, the United States is where the majority of fresh ideas and technological advancements take place. Moreover, China and other nations that are comparable to it have a great deal of regulations regarding cryptocurrency, which means that the majority of people in those countries are unable to utilize it due to the way that their laws are now structured. Since people's present money will lose all of its worth if they do not begin collecting cryptocurrency, I believe that people will be forced to begin collection of cryptocurrency. It will take me a moment to explain why. We will get to that in a bit, but for the time being, let's assume that XRP is capable of achieving the same degree of acceptance as Bitcoin does at the present time, in terms of the amount of people all over the world who hold it. One could say that the number of people who are interested in the ecology has increased by a factor of 100. If we take a look at the current value of XRP, we can see that it is currently valued $179 billion. it is likely that the market capitalization would be anywhere between $10 and $17.9 trillion instead of $179 billion if we were to multiply the number of holders, people who are actively participating in the ecosystem, institutional adoption, and all of these other factors by a factor of 100. This is another reason why the price of XRP might soar from approximately $3 per coin to approximately $300 per coin at this very moment. In addition, I do not believe that this is something that will take place in the next 10 years that is absolutely devoid of possibility. Two enormous bull markets are going to occur. The Federal Reserve is going to print a great deal more money, and there is going to be a great deal more insane inflation in the United States and somewhere else in the world. A large number of people on a worldwide scale having the awareness that they need to leave the world of the fiat system that they are currently a part of because the value of their money is decreasing, which brings me to my next point. It is tremendously impressive that you guys have any quantity of XRP at this very moment. No matter what anyone claims, we are all aware that the euro is a counterfeit currency. The dollar of the United States. What the yuan of China is, the Korean won is equivalent to the Japanese yen, Australasian dollar, Canadian dollars value. Every one of these currencies is usable in every single country on the planet. They will proceed with the printing of money, which will result in a decline in the value of the dollar and an increase in the debt of the government. It is certain that they will be unable to repay their debt at some point in the future, and their country will fall just like every previous kingdom. In the past, the only method to avoid this kind of situation was to purchase gold. However, take into consideration the following. If you are going to purchase gold worth $1 million in order to safeguard your savings, you will be required to carry a substantial quantity of gold with you wherever you go. Someone might easily take it away from you if they so want. It is not possible to send that away. At this point, you are aware that you are unable to accomplish anything with that kind of money, right? On the other hand, when you have XRP, it is not only very lightweight, it does not weigh anything, but you can also send it to another country right away. The fact that more of this currency cannot be produced than what is already in circulation ensures that its value will not decrease. There are no grounds for concern at this time. It's analogous to money, but superior. Due to the fact that the United States of America is the global center for technological innovation, the American people were the first to become aware of this. In addition, people in regions such as Europe, Singapore, and Dubai are really getting into these very advanced technological areas because, well, not only do they have higher average IQs than the rest of the world, but they also know more than most people that the monetary systems that they have been using for hundreds of years do not work for them. As an illustration, the printing of money, the printing of paperback money, and all of this other insane things has been going on for a rather long period. When one considers the manner in which the British Empire, the Dutch Empire, the Roman Empire, and now the Japanese Empire are all disintegrating, it is very obvious that this is the case. Blind people who do not wish to study history would be the only ones who would be able to recognize that there is a need for a solution to that problem. All right. Exactly for this reason, individuals came up with the concept of cryptocurrency. Keep in mind that it is money at all times. There is more to it than merely getting out of this flawed system. It is also the approach to improve your financial